Now that we have so much of our web page completed or website completed, we want to go ahead and create a cascading style sheet that is going to define the style of our website. In the old days of the internet, you used to have to put font tags every time you wanted to style a piece of your text, or use a bunch of attributes to change the appearance of your page. It was very tedious to have to do that with every single little piece. Now we keep the content in the HTML and we put the style in the CSS, and that allows us to repeat the style of our site on every page, and it makes it very quick and easy for us to update or change our style. So we're going to start off by opening a new file in TextEdit, and we need to save it as styles.css. Make sure that it goes into your correct folder. There we go, into your travel folder. And remember that the extension is important, and you have to click on Use CSS. Okay. Now, anytime in the future that you want to open this file, you can see it right here, you can't just double click on it. You have to control click and open with TextEdit. Now, there are numerous properties that we can apply to to our tags, and I'll show you in a minute some of them. But I want you to see first is the basic setup. We have the selector, and in this case what we're doing is basically we're defining the look of each of our tags. Then we have the property, and the property is kind of like the attributes that we would use in a tag in HTML. And then finally we have a value, and this is what we are changing the appearance to. Okay, so one thing that I want to point out, remember that in HTML we have a bunch of equal signs. In cascading style sheets we don't have equal signs, we have colons, and if we have more than one property we're applying to a tag, we actually put a semicolon at the end. So I've given you guys this sheet. You can find it linked to the website. You can also find it in Poland Pickup. This is up here again. Here we have an example of a paragraph tag that we want text to be blue, font size 10, background color gray. And you can also, one thing you should know, anytime you want to apply the same properties and values to more than one tag or more than one selector, you can group them together. All you have to do is put a comma and space in between the three tags, two or more tags. Okay, so that's easy to do. Some of the more common properties that we'll use are font family, font size, font style, font weight, line height, color, text decoration, background color, but there are, like I said, there are a ton more. So I've also linked to this reference here. They have it done by keywords, and they're alphabetized. And anytime that you want to go in and start designing things on your site, then you should go and look through this and find things that are going to make it work for you. All right, so we're going to start off here. When we think about the whole of the site, we have a couple of things. We have body, okay, because everything, remember, falls inside the body tag. So that's the first thing that we're going to put in. It does have curly brackets that it uses, okay, so you got to make sure you use those. And while this is fine to have it all on one line, for editing purposes, what I like to do is I like to put each property on its own line. And I'm indenting it, and again, that is only to make it easier to edit. So the first property that I want to apply to the body is going to be the font family. And font has a hyphen or dash, whatever you want to call it, between font and family. There's no spaces otherwise. Then remember a colon, and then we're going to make it Verdana. Verdana is one of those nice, clean, easy fonts that makes everything easy to read. Font size is the next one I want to apply, and I want the size to be 14 point. Now, you can specify the size in pixels, px, or in point, depending on what you want, and either are fine. You just have to make sure you get the size appropriate. You don't want it so small that you can't read it, but you don't want it so huge that it looks like it's been made for a kindergartner. Okay? After font size, I'm going to put line height. The line height is the leading. Okay, that's the space between each line. So I am putting, whoops, I accidentally put an equal sign. I don't want an equal sign. Oh, and I actually see that I did a semicolon and not a colon. So you got to be careful because you are using both of those. Line height equals 20 point, and I'm doing a semicolon now. And then finally, I want all of my text inside my body to be black. And that's font color, semicolon, black. And black is the default, but it's not a bad idea to go ahead and specify it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save real quick, and I'm going to skip ahead to this last part and then backtrack. I want to go ahead and copy this line. This is the link tag that we have to put in the head of each of our pages so that it calls on this styles.css. So I'm going to say copy that. I'm going to go to my index page and open with text edit. And here inside the head, I'm going to paste it. Remember, it's right before the closing head tag, and I saved it. And I'm going to go ahead and do all of those pages first so that I don't forget. And that way we can check as we create our styles, we can actually check it on the pages. If we did this at the very end, we wouldn't be able to actually check our work. It might be harder for us to go and find errors if we did it that way. Because remember, we want to be able to check things as we go to make sure that we catch our errors. So, okay, so with the body defined, if I go ahead and refresh the index page, that is the change that it makes so far. Okay. Next, sometimes the body is not enough to do to define just the properties for the body tag. So we also want to add the paragraph tag. Now, we want all of our paragraphs to look just like what they look like there. So this is one of those cases where we can just simply add a P, and it should just continue to add to it. And I shouldn't see any changes if I went. Okay, if I went back to that page. Next, we have headings. And remember, we have 3 sizes, 1, 2, and 3. So each of these are going to be slightly different. So I'm going to start with the H1. I'm going to put in my curly bracket, hit return, and I'm going to actually, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and because that's a little less typing. And what I can do then is I can say that I want my font family to be Palatino Linotype. Okay, and you can see that right down here. Font size is 32. Oops, not 132, just 32. My line height is 40, and that actually says pixels. I'm not sure if I have a typo. I'll have to check. I'm also going to add font weight bold, and then the font color is going to have a different color. And I'm going to go ahead and copy the font color from here so that I don't misspell it. What we're using here is a hexadecimal code, and anytime we use hexadecimal codes in HTML or CSS, we have to make sure that we include the pound sign or the hashtag. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in my closing curly bracket, save it, and then I'm going to refresh my index page. and I can see here that everything worked except for the font color. And that's because I actually put font color. It's not font color, it is only color when I'm referring to the font in CSS. So let me save that and refresh it, and now I have a difference. Okay, so now I also have H2s, and they have all the same properties as this one. And so I'm going to paste it. I'm going to name it H2. The differences are going to be the font size, which for the H2 is going to be 25. For the line height, it's going to be, I think it was 35. Yes. And then one more time for an H3, which the font size is going to be 20 and the line height 30. 20 and 30. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go here real quick, and I'm going to hit refresh. I don't have the H2 or 3 on this page, so I need to go to New York City. This is 2 up here, and this is 3 down here. So I think that looks okay. Now, the only other thing that I want to change here is going to be the images. So I'm going to put in a image, my curly bracket, and the properties I'm going to do on my image are going to be a margin of 5 pixels, padding of 5 pixels, and that's just to give it a little bit of a buffer. And then I'm going to give it a border. Now this border actually has 3 properties all put together. It's going to be 2 pixels, a space, solid, space, and then it's going to be the same color as our headings. 283, DA4, and close our curly bracket, save, go to, not now, and refresh. And now our images have a little border around them as well. Okay, so that is it for now for the CSS, and it's something that we can quickly update or change later on as we go.